Hi everyone, welcome to RPA Explorers channel. In this video, we are going to see about variables. Variables are something which is used to store multiple values, and you can store your values in different formats like string, datetime, integers, and we have more types. Here in ServiceNow, we have two types of variables, local and global variables. Local variable which is declared within an activity and it can be used only within the declared activity, like we have different activities for a single automation. So local variables are something which is created within the defined activity and it can be used only within the declared activity. Coming to the global variable, which is declared at a project level and it can be used in any activity throughout the entire project. It means that you can create your global variable once and it can be used in any of the activity in your entire project. And it can be very useful when you are dealing with larger automations. Now, let's get started with the demo and we'll see different ways to create and use them.
So now let's get started with the studio. And for this example, I'll use attender. So we have some sample automation. So let's get started with new activity for this variable. Go to your project explorer, activities, then right click on this and create your new activity. Rename this. As I mentioned earlier, we have two different types of variable. One is local variable and the second is a global variable. Let's get started with the local variable. Go to your toolbox and type variable. So just drag and drop your variable to the design panel. So as soon as you drag and drop your variable, it gets automatically added for this activity. So let me add it again. So if you notice, it has added the variable 1 again. So if I add it again, a new variable gets added as well. One way to create your local variable is from the activity panel, right click on it and you can use, and it has added a variable 3. So this is how you create your local variable. And now if you notice, it has two different port, one which is in gray color, that is control port, and the orange which is a data port. So this left which is the input and this right which is the output. So it's control in, data in, control out and data outputs. So now let's rename the variable. Right click on this and rename it. To differentiate your local and global variable, you can use any different way. So I'll just append with an L underscore. So I have renamed the variables. So now let's see how do we connect them. So to connect it, just use the control out of the start port and you connect to the control input of the variable. So let's see how we can add multiple variables in just one variable component. So I have already variable 1. Now let's drag and drop the variable 2 to the variable component. Let me add all the 4 variables. Okay. So now let's see how we can change the type of it. So on top of this component, we have this gear icon. Just click on this gear icon. Just for this example, I'll use 2 string variables and 2 integers. So you can notice the type here as well. Okay. So just double click on this. So you can add your default value. So this is string variable 1, local string variable 1. So just click on enter. And the second way to add your value is right click on this port, control in port, click on port properties, then use the static option. Add this one as well. And to go to your toolbox and type in message box. You can use this message box to interact with the user. So now we'll take the show. So I'll drag and drop. You can directly connect to this. So now I'm going to print only the variable 1. So you have to control output to this message box. So yeah. So let's start and let's see. So now let's see the output. I'm not going to use this run option as this will automatically start with the main. So we'll go to the variable and we'll right click on start. Then you can use this run from here option. And it has printed the value of the local variable as you see. Entered the first variable. So similarly to print the second variable, you can use in the same way. Just click to view timer to view the execution log. So total execution time is just 0 second for this. So you can view them. So now we have value of the second variable as well. Click on OK and clear the log. So this is one way how you can print your variable. Let's see the second way. I'll delete this. So right click on this, use the port properties, and I'm going to use the variable option. So variable. So now we don't have any port, so we can directly get print with this. Let me print it. Okay. So again, you can see the same result. I click on OK. So this is the second way how we can print your variable. Similarly, you can do for this integers as well. So just right click on this, use the port. So this is how it works. If any user value needs to be printed, you can take any of these activities from the message box. It's a component. So I'm using input component. Now let's start it. Yeah. So let me enter some string. Yeah. So this is how you can pass your input string. So far what we have seen is a local variable. Now let's go to the global variable. So to create a global variable, again we have two different ways. Drag and drop it to the local object. And you have this global variable created. And the second way is just right click on this and you can rename it. So right click, rename. As I mentioned, just to differentiate, I'm using G for global variable. Again, we can use the same variable component and we can add n number of variables into it. So the same I'm going to do, just take your global variable and drag and drop it and variable 2. As you notice, we have two different colors. So the white, which is for local variable, and the orange, which denotes your global variable. Let's pass this value to the global variable. Okay. So the main difference between local and global variable is local variable can be used only in the defined activity. It cannot be used throughout the process. Whereas you can use this global variable throughout your process in the same way how we did. For example, let me go ahead and create a new activity. So go back to the activity, right click on it, create new. Now let's assume that we are going to print the message box of the global variable and variable activity instead of variables activity. So now we'll do that. So I'm going to copy this. I click on this, copy, go to your activity. Go back here and I'll remove the connectivity. Delete it. Stop. Delete it. Stop. So let me drag and drop this global variable activity here. So I have connected this so that as soon as this gets completed, the other activity gets executed. Now let's start from here. So I'll click OK. Yeah, if you notice, you got the same variable in the global variables message box as well. So this is how it works. So you can pass the variable from one activity to other activity, which can be used when you are dealing with larger workflows. So this is how we'll create local and global variable and we use them. I hope you all got an idea about variables. So in the coming videos, let's get started with the rest of the components.